Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Friday, 9 January. I'm your host Daniel, and today we're going to talk about the UN has told Trump of their legal obligations to pay dues to the UN. Thousands are fleeing fighting in Aleppo between the army and Kurdish fighters. And Russia has attacked Ukraine using an Oreshnik missile system. So firstly, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned the US that it is obliged to pay its dues after the Trump administration announced the withdrawal from dozens of UN agencies. On Wednesday, the White House said it was withdrawing from 66 international bodies, around half of which were affiliated with the United Nations. Guterres' spokesperson said in a statement on Thursday that assessed contributions to the UN regular budget and peacekeeping budget as approved by the General Assembly are legal obligations under the UN Charter for all member states. They added that the affected programs would continue to carry out their tasks that the UN is responsible to deliver to those who depend on us, they said. The decision taken by Trump also means the country will stop funding other global initiatives not affiliated with the UN. So what? While I can understand the UN's frustration here, I don't think that this was the right way to go about it. Trump doesn't take too kindly to people pushing back publicly against him. And I think it's likely that this kind of rhetoric will only lead to him basically telling them to get fucked. I don't see this going any other way. I don't think Trump is going to like this at all. And kind of fair enough. The UN doesn't really do much to help the US, and the US basically pays for it. So I don't see why they should. The UN's a bit of I'm not a huge UN fan, obviously. It has its place and it has some good parts and some bad parts, but I think it's kind of outgrown its usefulness, and we're kind of reverting back to a system that is pre-UN, where, power is the thing that controls peace and ensures stability. So I don't know, maybe it's run its course and we need to think of a new way, a new global system to ensure that peace and stability is rife around the world. Bottom line, I don't think Trump's going to take too kindly to this, and we'll likely see him on a truth rant at some point in the not too distant future. Next, the Syrian army has launched fresh strikes in parts of Aleppo on Thursday after ordering locals to leave areas of which it said the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces had launched attacks. The army released several maps identifying areas in which it would be operating, targeting strikes, and urged residents to leave for their own safety. Authorities announced a curfew in the Kurdish majority neighborhoods and 4 nearby districts in Syria's second largest city. The state news agency Sana described the strikes as targeted operations against the military wing of the SDF and the YPG. So what? This is just further iterations of the kind of chaos within Syria. We've talked about this before, but there's plenty of ethnic minorities that aren't too keen to be ruled by the current Syrian regime, due to their background of being a terrorist organization that they fought against. And the Kurds are one of these groups. So this fighting, I think, is just a continuation of this. They don't really want to be controlled by the current Syrian government, and they kind of want their own state, or at least independence or some kind of self-governance, which ideally would be the outcome, though it seems likely that they're going to have to withdraw from Aleppo. What I find quite interesting is how the new Syrian army is operating, like a conventional Western military, asking citizens to leave areas before they're conducting attacks. It's just over a year since they took over the country, and prior to that, they were, for all intents and purposes, a terrorist/rebel organization. obviously getting the rebrand on victory, which is kind of funny. So yeah, it's quite interesting seeing them operate in this manner, but good. It shows that they're trying to reduce civilian casualties and ensure that they're doing things the right way. However, they are fighting against the Western backed forces of the SDF, which is pretty fucking awkward. And lastly, Russia has attacked Ukraine using an Oreshnik missile system, a weapon associated with intercontinental nuclear strike capabilities. Moscow appears to have ordered the second such launch against Ukrainian territory, though the strike in western Lviv was carried out without a warhead and appears to be intended primarily as a psychological demonstration rather than a kinetic attack. According to Russia's Ministry of Defense, the strike was carried out in retaliation to what it claimed was a Ukrainian attack on President Vladimir Putin's residence. I see. Ukraine has denied this, and Trump backed them up on Sunday. So just firstly, the Oreshnik missile is an intermediate-ranged ballistic missile, and it is generally associated with the use of nuclear weapons, though as stated, this one did not have any warheads in it, so it was merely just a strike capability. As you can see in a number of these videos, let's have a look. So you can see how it has multiple warheads. It goes up into the atmosphere, breaks down, and then they fall down at a rapid pace. In the video you can see here, you can see the multiple warheads coming down, and they're coming down at a hell of a rate of knots. So yeah, the primary destruction here is caused by just the kinetic energy of these warheads coming down, rather than the warheads having a payload of themselves. So what is kind of described in the report, it seems highly likely that this was more of a psychological operation, both against Ukraine and the West, just to show, Russia maintains the capability to fire nuclear weapons if they are needed to. Kind of a scary outcome, but something they're always going to saber rattle when it comes to the war in Ukraine, especially when it's not going well for them. I don't buy that this was a retaliation for the attack on Putin's residence. That whole story seems primarily to try and derail peace negotiations. So, yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, that's been the Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again on Monday. See you.